last problem here. We are going to go to problem 9, and we're going to take a look at this because this one usually tends to cause more problems than the other ones. And this will probably be the one that will give people this and maybe problem 5. I think will give people the most trouble on the test. So let's take a look at this. All right. So it says a group of 150 adults were asked whether they exercise and whether they are vegetarian. Okay, so they're trying to correlate health habits versus dietary habits, right? So the responses are summarized in the following table. So we've got exercise and don't exercise is one of our categories, right? And then the other categories are vegetarian, non-vegetarian. So they're going the other way. This is set up correctly according to what we did in the last video. And we got our numbers in here. So first question, what percentage of the adults exercise? Okay, so you just find that's going to be this entire row, because you got 39 who are vegetarian who exercise, but you've also got 24 who aren't vegetarian who exercise. So we're going to add that up to figure out how many total people exercise. So 39 plus 24 exercise. So you got 63 people, and then it's out of 150. So divided by 150. Okay. And this gives us 0.42. This is a percent. So remember, you can either move the decimal place over 2 spaces, or you can multiply it by 100. They get you the same place. So we have 42% of the adults exercise. All right, letter B says what percentage of the adults are vegetarians? So that's all the people in this column right here. So let's go, okay, we got 39 plus 21 should be 60, and it is. We're going to divide that by 150, and that's going to give us a number, slightly less than our last one, right? So 0.4. So remember, if you move the decimal point 2 spaces, you got to put a 0 in that one spot. You go boom, boom, fill it in with a 0. So we're going to have 40%. And I'll show you that if you multiply this by 100, oops, if you can actually do this correctly, it will get you to the same place. Yeah, 40. Now, this is the one that gives people trouble, because you're not using the full sample size anymore on this. It says, what percentage of the adults who are vegetarian exercise? So they're saying only of the adults who are vegetarians. So that's just these people. Just these people. What's the percentage of those people that exercise? So there's 39 of them that exercise out of the total. So it's going to be 39 divided by whatever this total is. And if we add 39 to 21, 9 plus 1 is 10, carry your 1, right? So you get 60. Okay, 39 out of 60. So that's going to be, it's pretty high. So it's 65%, right? Because if I multiply this by 100, I'll get 65%. All right, now we've got a question to answer about this. It says, is there evidence that adults who are vegetarian tend to be exercisers more often than average? So what I'd want to do is I would want to compare the people who are vegetarian who exercise compared to the whole sample population of people who exercise. Well, the whole sample population of people who exercise was 42%. But when you look at the population of people who are vegetarians that exercise, it's a lot higher. Right? So we're looking at C and A because they're kind of talking about the same thing, just different samples. All right? So is there evidence that people who are vegetarian tend to be exercisers more? Well, 65 is quite a bit higher than 42. So yeah. And so let's look at our reasons. It says because the percentage found in part C is much greater than the percentage found in part A. And that is going to be our answer for this one. If we look at this other one, it says the percentage found in part C is much greater than the percentage found in part B. Well, part B isn't really related to this, because they're not saying, you're not comparing vegetarians that exercise to vegetarians, because that's kind of like comparing them to themselves. So that doesn't make any sense. You're comparing them to the total population. So if you reason this out and go carefully, you can get through these and you can make sense out of it, and it's not quite as brutal as it looks. So let's do one more. I'm going to go through this one a little quicker, but you'll be fine. So group of 200 students, right? They took math last term. And so if I look at this table, there's people who live on and off campus, and there's people who passed and people who failed. All right? So the first question is, what percentage of the students passed math? So total number of students that passed math is 43 plus 63, right? So we're going to go 43 plus 63. And then we're going to divide that number by the total number of students altogether. So there's 200. So divided by 200. This is pretty pathetic. As a math teacher, I'm not happy with this number. So it's 0.53, multiply that by 100, and you get your percent, and your percent is 53%. All right? What percentage of the students live off campus? Well, that's all these guys. This is 63 plus 21, right? So 63 plus 21. So 84 divided by, again, 200 total students. So that's going to be less than 50%, right? Yeah, it's 42%. Move that decimal place 2 spaces. And then letter C says, what percentage of the students who live off campus pass math? So we're looking at the total number of students that live off campus, right? And how many of them passed math? So 63 out of the total number of people who live off campus passed math. So it's going to be 63, that's on my part, divided by my whole. Well, my whole is 63 plus 21, right? So I would go 3 plus 1 is 4, and then 6 plus 2 is 80. So I got 84, right? So 63 over 84 is 75%. So there's a much higher percentage of students who are off campus who are passing math, right, than the general population. And so now it's going to ask us about that, I'm guessing. It says, is there evidence that students who live off campus tend to pass math more often than average? Yeah, absolutely. 75 is a lot higher than 53, right? Remember, we're talking about math. So we're talking about our 2 separate sample sizes. So we're talking about our sample size of just the off-campus, which is this one, versus our total sample size of all college students, right, of who took the survey. So it would be yes, because the percentage found in Part C is much greater than the percentage found in Part A. Remember, we're not relating it to B because it's like comparing it to itself again, and we want to stay away from that. All right, so I hope these videos have been helpful to you. Good luck with everything, and you got this.